On this particular trip to Venezuela, one of the side adventures I was asked to join was to travel from Caracas to a retreat alongside Avila and participate in a ritualistic Ayahuasca Tea ceremony. We met up with a group in Caracas, many of whom who have had ayahuasca tea in the past a time or two and were convinced of its therapeutic benefits. We piled into Toyota Land Cruisers for the drive through mountain roads around La Avila to the retreat at Galipan. Honestly, I expected the roads to be more daunting given the switch to four-wheel drive vehicles, but the road turned out to be paved with concrete paver blocks. Lots of hills, lots of curves, but really, no big deal. But this adventure is not about the well-maintained Land Cruisers taking us up paved mountain roads. Our aim was to take part in a ritual where we are forced to face our worst fears and hopefully to defeat them. I think of it as fast-tracked psychotherapy with the assistance of a psychedelic chemical assistant. Our ayahuasca experience was held in a nice, reasonably modern meeting space called Galipan, which is used for seminars, retreats, and other events. We had the place to ourselves for the entire weekend to partake in ayahuasca tea several times over, all in a very private setting. I suppose this made it feel a bit less authentic than if it had been held in a hut deep within the Amazon basin. But hey, I'll take what I can get. So what really is this ayahuasca tea? The Amazon basin is home to 60 to 80,000 different plants, many still unknown for their medicinal potential. In the case of ayahuasca tea, it all boils down, literally, to this vine and its leaves. The medicine made of ayahuasca is said to heal both psychological and physiological problems, from heroin addiction to Parkinson's disease. The tea from this plant contains DMT, nature's own hypercharged psychedelic. In my own cynical view, Western medicine basically ignores ayahuasca because it is a natural substance with little potential for generating profit. There is, of course, some interest out there, which has created a meager business around producing bottled ayahuasca and trying to generate an interest by the tourism market. The event and ceremonies were led by this colorful fella, a shaman from Venezuela named Taita Jose Alicia Silva, flanked by his crew of devoted assistants, each apparently some level of shaman in their own right. They were to be our guides between the visible world and the spirit world. Before the ritualistic ceremonies and drinking of ayahuasca tea begin, we're first given the opportunity to clear our nasal passages and sinuses so the tea can be taken with the greatest effect. The tabak is dried and pulverized tobacco leaf made into a fine powder, which is then quite literally blown up the nostril through a small pipe. It is a very odd sensation, and you can see me involuntarily leaning back to avoid it. It stings a bit, really. Very, very odd. The gal administering this tabak ended up taking me under her wing, recognizing that my lack of fluency in Spanish had me later struggling to keep up with the shaman's instructions. So she became my whispered translator. Tabak. The ceremonial aspects of the event kicked off with some music and stretching to get the blood flowing a bit. And then the shaman launched into his act, offering some spiritual prayers and such in preparation for what was to come next. See you on the other side. We ended up taking the ayahuasca tea 3 times over the course of this weekend, each time proceeding in approximately the same manner. The tea was pre-made before the event, brought out and served to attendees one by one. The shaman decided how much each would receive, and we drank the bitter, disgusting concoction from a small wooden bowl. It didn't take long for the nausea to set in, and when it did, it was terrible. Eventually, everybody vomits. The facilitators of this circus were even handing out little plastic bags to help contain it. And for some of us, the experience was every bit the same as food poisoning, our bodies doing everything possible to expel this vile liquid. And remember, for all of us, this was a choice to undergo this suffering in order to eventually reap some reward, a psychedelic reward of some supposed form of healing. To drink ayahuasca tea is said to be a purifying experience, sometimes horrifying but cathartic. People would like to see what hides within their subconsciousness. Indeed, it's a strong hallucinogenic, and if you drink the ayahuasca tea, you need to be prepared to face your fears. Now, to be perfectly honest, while I'm sure the effect is more profound on some people, my experience was more on the disgusting physical torture side than on the spiritual enlightenment side. All around me, people were crying or rocking gently on the ground, often curled up in a ball. I heard stories of the visions people saw, the dramatic self-realization, amazing journeys deep into the psyche. I could only imagine how amazing such an experience would be. And because I had none of that, I felt myself forming the opinion that for most of these people, the experience was self-manifested because they simply wanted the ayahuasca tea to have a dramatic effect. Now, that was likely an overly pessimistic or skeptical view of things, not giving the potion its just credence, but it simply wasn't having a dramatic effect on me. I found the daytime tea to be a bit more pleasant, not because the tea tasted better or had less of those undesirable effects, but because the mood was just different. There was music played, and this drowned out the vomiting in the background a bit, so it was far more pleasant, and perhaps a bit more entertaining. In the end, while I didn't have the best experience trying this ayahuasca tea, I'm still quite happy that I'd participated. It was an experience for sure. And before the moral majority starts foaming at the mouth about another street drug invading the world from South America, seriously, you can stop that line of thinking right now. Ayahuasca has nothing to do with that nonsense, nor could it ever be a recreational drug. It is a medicine of the indigenous tribes in South America and an ancient method of therapy, still mostly misunderstood by Western science. Galipan certainly was not the most authentic setting for this sort of ceremony, and the shaman and his crew seemed to be a bit of an act, but all in all, they do seem to genuinely believe in the service they're providing, and they do certainly seem to enjoy the lighter side of life. These are all good things. I'm quite happy that I chose to give this experience a try and spend some time with this unique group of people. We left the retreat the same way we came in. Toyota Land Cruisers heading down the winding roads over and around La Avila, back to the cesspool city of Caracas. This would certainly not be my only adventure while once again on assignment in Venezuela, but absolutely the most uncomfortable one. Until next time, folks, this is Duke Steele with 9 Lives Adventures.
الأخير حلو الصورة.